Ahsoka is force jumping from the TV into the comics. Earlier this week, Marvel Comics announced that Ahsoka Tano, fan favorite and favorite of ours here, will be getting her first ever solo run in comics with the release of the illustrated adaptation of the Disney Plus series that was just on this fall. The eight issue set will retell all 8 episodes of the live action series. The series itself was an extension of Star Wars Rebels. It will be written by Rodney Barnes with art by Stephen Cummings and George Jeanty. I hope I get that name right. Jeanty. All 3 of which have a pedigree in Star Wars books, including The Mandalorian, Hidden Empire, and Mace Windu, just to name a few. The first issue is slated to be on shelves in July. Pete, it's an 8-issue run. It's going to retell the Ahsoka series in comics form. Obviously, you're an extreme comic book enthusiast. Does this excite you, or do you want an Ahsoka comic that covers some different ground, fills in, some gaps somewhere else?
Well, I'm going to play the role of our good friend Chris Ryans here. And yes, so first of all, admittedly, not as into the comics as I would like to be. And we're going to talk to Heather Antos about that in a little bit if she sticks around after hearing me say that. To quote Chris, and Chris and I have actually spoken a little bit about this. I think it's a great way to get people into comics who may not be into them previously. I can actually see my son, who's not reading a ton of comics, seeing that in the store and going, "Oh yeah, I'm going to pick this one up." And if it introduces him to new artists and new art forms, and a new way to tell the story, then I'm all for it. But I'm also, and I think this is probably where you stand, it would be cool to use it to launch maybe different Ahsoka stories. What are your thoughts?
Sure. Yeah, that door can swing both ways for me. As someone who likes to collect things, I would love nothing more than, one day when the trade of all 8 issues of that comes out in one, neatly, package that appeals to suckers like me who buy things because they look cool. I can put it on my shelf with, the other comic books, that I have, that kind of stuff. And it also has the ability, we talk all the time on the show about windows and doors, and this is another opportunity. Maybe somebody didn't watch that show, but they know Ahsoka and they see it, in their Barnes and Noble, they see it at their local comic book store, and they go, "Ooh, I want to check that out." And they get to be introduced to that story that we already know. So it offers another opportunity for somebody to join this galaxy that we love so much, to follow this character that we love so much. Yep. Yes, of course, I want more stories because I love that character and I want to know, what else is she doing? What else has she been up to? Where was she in between this thing and that thing? It has the ability to work both ways. We can't really lose. And that's the joy of where we are with Star Wars right now, whether it's animation, live action, comic books, novels, movies coming back on the big screen. We get all of it. Which one do you love? Have some. It's there for you.
But I'll say this, and I hear what you're saying, and I do like, as I just said too, like I like that you can get the story that you got on the screen. But man, I remember the Star Wars comics when we were kids that were the movie adaptations of Empire, Return of the Jedi, Star Wars, and the story was expanded because it came from a different version of the script or a different version of the story. So there were different things, different interpretations. So unlike the Kenobi comic, which we were just looking at earlier today, which basically it takes screen grabs from the show and redoes the style of art, and redoes those scenes. I would love to see the scenes from a different perspective. I would love to see, more of that story. What didn't we see? What wasn't in front of the camera? What are some more conversations between Hera and her son? I think those are the kind of things that I would love to get more out of the comics if we're going to go down that road.
Yeah, it's kind of that wide angle lens thing. You get this much in the show, let's expand it out and see what's going on either side of that screen that we didn't get before.
Absolutely.